Holland, via Hoek van Holland. Dit is de Willem Ruys die u roept, over. Scheveningen Radio, hier is de Willem Ruys die u roept, over.
Willem Ruys van Scheveningen Radio, goedemorgen. Wat is nog de positie, Willem Ruys?
What's the ship's starting point and what's her destination? Properly speaking, Rotterdam, the home port of the Royal Rotterdam Lloyd liner Willem Ruys, is both. Yet she stays there only long enough to enable her passengers to see the sights of Western Europe. For some, Rotterdam is an intermezzo. For others, it is the end of a splendid voyage, whilst there are those for whom it is their port of embarkation. What grandparents will not be delighted to see their grandchildren, especially if they live on the other side of the globe? A real bit of Holland is being shipped to Australia. Not only the Dutch love to bid a short farewell to Europe in winter, the English, the French, the Germans, in fact all of them, feel the same way. And how those who are left behind on the quay must envy the others their good fortune. For a voyage in the Willem Ruys is really something. Not only for those who have set out on their first voyage, but equally for those who return to their normal life and work. Another voyage round the world has started, a voyage of 9 wonderful weeks. The Dutch like to refer to it as starting at Rotterdam. British passengers, on the other hand, consider that Southampton is the point of departure. No one worries about a trifling thing like that. Who would with just 1 day's difference? Whatever the case may be, every call on the ship's schedule is an event of importance for her passengers, who will have the opportunity of making excursions in the neighborhood.
That's right, and then it all began.
The vessel's 8 diesel engines with her 64 cylinders develop maximum capacity, and the purser's staff are very busy people too. No wonder if one considers the 1,000-odd passengers that have to be looked after.
It's wonderful, really, to see how smoothly everything goes on a big ship like this. We never even noticed the Bay of Biscay.
I had seen Cape St. Vincent before, from the land side, of course. But now I'm convinced that this part of Portugal is even more beautiful, viewed from out here at sea.
Under the Mediterranean sun, The British are reminded of their empire as soon as they catch sight of brave little Malta, with, as one might almost say, its granite-like history.
On that first night of dancing on board, we were already like a family party. Everybody seemed to be in a dancing mood. There wasn't a wallflower to be seen. Even the onlookers had a good time.
Egypt, you might think it a different world, far away, mysterious. There isn't much difference after all. And what is more, with that perfect pilot service, the Willem Ruys is at home in Egyptian waters, just as much at home as is the pilot on board the ship.
When we entered the Suez Canal, we didn't see much of the desert immediately. It came the next day. Sand and more sand, all the way to Suez.
We took the overland route, Cairo.
A city of contrasts, oriental shyness blended side by side with ultra-modern audacity.
The pyramids. They had left them there for us. We went to see them with the Kellers, a charming American couple. They knew how to spend money. He didn't think it at all expensive, my friend Keller. And he was right, too. Just for this once. Yes, when I was first to have a ride on a camel to appreciate the expression, the ship of the desert.
We went right through the desert on the Willem Ruys, and we hardly saw any trees until we reached Suez.
And then on to Ceylon. Oh yes, but we weren't that far yet. First we did a lot of swimming in the Red Sea.
Which reminds me, those pillow fights in the evening were great fun, whether you actually joined in or not. We had a wonderful time.
It may happen occasionally that the Willem Ruys calls at ports other than the usual ones advertised in the official schedule. Aden is a case in point. The ship may go there to fuel. Passengers can make an interesting excursion there, if they feel like it. I can't help associating Aden with coal and oil. But they also make salt there, and a lot of it too. The tremendous heat of the tropical sun causes the seawater to evaporate in such quantities that heavy layers of crude salt are formed. This salt is exported all over the world. In oases in the interior, the age-old hand potter's art still flourishes. And the weaving and dyeing of cloth is done just as in the days of Muhammad. The fact that Aden is a free port implies that one can buy quite a few things there.
And nice and cheap on top of it, because everything is duty-free.
And now we're off to the eastern extremity of the African continent, to Somalia. On the way we catch glimpses of a somewhat austere but peaceful coastline. Dark-skinned fishermen go about their daily occupations in a romantic setting. A little later, the Willem Ruys enters the Indian Ocean. Ahead, only a few days away, there is Colombo, the main port of Ceylon. Particularly these last few years, Ceylon's reputation as a tourist centre has risen considerably. West and East admire its splendid scenery and make rendezvous in its hotels. The Ceylonese are of a cheerful stock. They love to sing and dance, but behind the sunny exterior, the grim fact remains that the majority of them must toil very hard to make their living. It would be wonderful to linger a while longer, but the Willem Ruys must be on her way, hard enough though it may be to leave all this behind.
But we're on the way to gay Singapore, so near that you could almost throw one of these rings around it.
Yes, this is the life here on the Indian Ocean. One feels young under the brilliant sun, and if you should feel like fortifying yourself, the very best is there. Remember that Dutch cooks are famous. Have a look at the cold dishes that are served on the Lido deck when the weather is favourable.
To be honest, I thought I knew something about travelling. But even the most fastidious passengers, including our Keller friends, were unanimous in their opinion that this was altogether first-rate.
Of course, the passengers in the tourist class outnumbered those in the first. They were a wonderful mixture of nationalities that got on very well together. Well, I never get tired of talking, and there wasn't much chance either, because we seemed to be eating and drinking all day long.
Talking about drinking, the wines on board the Willem Ruys are so excellent that they were often an inspiration to happy parties. It's not always easy, of course, to get up very early after such a party, but not for anything in the world would I have missed the beauty of the moment when we entered Singapore harbour at break of day. Singapore is a good place to start an umbrella business.
Although there are occasional tropical downpours, this big international melting pot of races and religions enjoys a comparatively dry climate with agreeable temperatures. Good cheer is common property there, but although the place may wear a perpetual smile, there is usually a hard life hidden behind that charming facade. the town offers a large variety of attractions, of which the Tiger Balm Garden holds pride of place. In this garden of marvels, Chinese sculptors have let their fantasy run wild. There are a multitude of stone carvings representing Chinese mythological characters. To our Western mind, these works of art should be qualified as bizarre. They often remind us of a village fair. There is a keen spirit of business in the well-known little street known as Change Alley. The whole world is for sale there, and not expensive at all, if one knows how to bargain. But on we go again, across the equator this time, the region where the sun's at its zenith and where Neptune reigns in his ocean empire. By tradition, the god emerges from the deep to board the Willem Ruys and gives the greenhorns their saltwater baptism, providing they're willing to submit themselves to his ceremony. Having acquired their seaman certificate, both initiates and seasoned passengers continue their voyage to Australia, far away from familiar places like England and a little spot on the globe which is Holland.
And, of course, they brought frogs from the Low Countries for the frog races. I managed to win my little share sometimes. Well, not so much really, because the game isn't played simply for the sake of making money. After all, the Willem Ruys isn't a casino. The idea really is that everyone profits in the form of pleasure.
There is more than just sea on the route from Singapore to Melbourne. After Java, we crossed a section of the Indian Ocean, hugged the coast of Christmas Island for a while, and then, all of a sudden, a few days later, there was Cape Lewin, one of the most westerly points of the Australian continent. As long ago as 1622, adventurous Dutchmen landed there. In the centuries that followed, down to the present day, many thousands have followed their example by settling in many other parts of the fifth continent. In addition, many go there to visit their children. Where West and West meet in friendship. There's Australia. Melbourne, a Western world, where Europeans and Americans are not looked upon as foreigners or strangers, but where they are welcome visitors who are almost automatically and without much ado absorbed into a prosperous and industrious population. Australia, a land where the traditions of the mother country are still cherished. but also a country in the front rank of modern nations. In this country, trade and industry have won a prominent place. Passengers making excursions here will notice this at once, and Willem Ruys passengers go on such excursions. One passes through large suburbs, half rural even now. But everywhere there are signs of an ever-growing industrialization in many varieties. And yet, as is obvious in this immense country, much of its original beauty has remained untouched. This is even the case in such areas where the towns and cities forever encroach upon the countryside. After Melbourne, the metropolis, Sydney. We made the trip overland by car. Flying, of course, is still quicker, and it has the added advantage of allowing considerably more time at Sydney. Well worth it, I should think. To my mind, Sydney is the Paris of Australia. It may not boast an Eiffel Tower, but it has its bridge. I'm sure everybody has seen it, be it only on picture postcards.
Arriving at Sydney by sea surely has its advantages too. I've often heard it said that it would be difficult to find another place in the world whose surroundings can compete in beauty with Sydney's. Funny though that people are so much alike all over the world. Things, on the other hand, may differ a lot. Beaches may have a different character. And I shall never forget the impression I received of the perfect silence in the enormous library with its beautiful floor, showing in mosaic a scale map of Australia, as it was known in the days of the famous seafarer Abel Tasman. Anyone can go where he likes in this country. We went to a large zoo. There were elephants, but also real koalas, you know, those little Australian bears. And emus, the Australian ostriches, and, of course, kangaroos.
Thank you.
pity that not everyone can linger a little while longer in this lovely country. The reason is that the ship is ready to sail again, and we can't keep New Zealand waiting.
Ah, yes, Wellington. A place not unlike Naples, and full of music, too. New Zealand is a western country, yet South Sea music is heard everywhere. It's interesting to know that Christianity was brought here only a century and a half ago by settlers from the West. It was followed in due course by Western motor cars. Motor coaches have become an indispensable means of transport in these parts of the world, and so they are for the passengers of the Willem Ruys as they tour the country in them and see a lot in a short time. It was not until some 600 years ago that New Zealand became inhabited, when the Maoris, setting out from faraway Tahiti in their seagoing prahus, began to invade the islands and settle there. The brown people haven't been here very much longer than the white, when one comes to think of it. Racial problems, such as we know in other parts of the world, do not exist in New Zealand. A century ago, the two groups of the population came to an agreement. And although Western migrants came to settle in the country in large numbers, with Christianity following in their wake, the Maoris managed to keep unspoiled much of their own way of life. Although they still cling to traditions which are more or less foreign to us, the Maoris have become modern men and women in every respect. This is not unlike the picture that is offered in Western countries, where folk dances, to mention just one example, remain a treasured memory of the past.
I love their songs. They seem to be in perfect harmony with the spirit of that wonderful country.
Keller, my American friend, said to me that in his mind he had always associated New Zealand with sheep. The animals have not always been there, though. The Europeans brought them. Man and animal feel at home in New Zealand. The country's contacts with the various parts of the world are continually increasing. It was the Willem Ruys that inaugurated a direct passenger service from Wellington to Peru. A crossing from which even the princely albatross seems to recoil.
Was it a long crossing? I'm sure we never knew a moment's boredom. On evenings, when there was no film performance, we used the cinema hall for other purposes. We just put on our own private show. For instance, that Mad Hatter's Ball. It was certainly difficult to award the prize. Here's another proof at least that nonsense can be successful if performed in earnest. It used to get late, but we saw to it that we didn't miss much of the mornings. And we weren't the only ones to get up at crack of dawn.
The purser staff on board a liner like the Willem Ruys are on the job night and day, so to speak, in order to make certain that the passengers have as good a time as possible. Few hotels in the world are so big. Few hotels have to satisfy so many gourmets every day. All have to look after such a tremendous quantity of laundry.
If only there were laundries like this in every town, no housewife would dream of doing her own washing. And we'd be comfortable and lazy as well.
On the Willem Ruys, children of any age aren't a problem. Experienced nurses look after them, at times convenient to their parents. Both classes in the Willem Ruys can eat every day in the main street of the 23,000-ton liner. It is a main street in the full sense of the word, for almost everything can be bought there. You can buy stamps, make arrangements for excursions, change money, obtain service information. There are hairdressers. For the convenience of both ladies and gentlemen. And in the meantime, 200 stewards are busy. And so devoted are they to their task that one could almost say every cabin is turned into a deluxe apartment. More than 100,000 pounds of meat is consumed during one round voyage. It is worked up into the choicest dishes of the international cuisine. Dieting requirements, whether private or prescribed by the ship's doctor, are carried out carefully. A picked body of bakers makes the finest bread and pastry every day. And passengers who take a long siesta need not miss any of this dainty fare.
tourist class, it was, well, first class. Dinner was a festive occasion every day, and it was still more of a festivity when it was followed by a cabaret program.
Holiday in leisurely comfort, with everything that life can offer. That is the way passengers make the crossing from New Zealand to Panama, or to Peru, where the ship sometimes calls at Callao. South America. Not only the temperature, but also the character of the country tells us that we are in another part of the world. We see other methods of fishing, other kinds of birds too. There's the noble pelican, for instance. Callao is the port of Lima, the capital of Peru. Driving down the Pan American Highway, the great connecting link between Alaska and Tierra del Fuego, one can visit the ruins of the ancient city of Pachacamek. Highly civilized peoples have followed each other in Peru. The last were the legendary Incas, who were conquered by the Spaniards in 1532. Since the discovery in 1911 of the Inca capital fortress of Machu Picchu, high up in the mountains of Cusco, we have learned a great deal more about the history and culture of the Incas. Judging from the size of its ruins, Pachacamek must have been a large city with many temples. One of these was recently restored to its former state. In the coastal plain, at the foot of the Andes, Lima was founded by the Spanish conquistador Pizarro, whose mortal remains lie buried in the cathedral. Although the old Spanish style of building is still recognizable everywhere, Lima is rapidly developing into an ultra-modern town. Concrete structures alternate with wonderful residential quarters. After Peru, there is Panama ahead of us. A bridge across the sea for 1,000 passengers, a number of whom can be seen at regular intervals on the bridge of the Willem Ruys. It has become customary to make excursions through the intricate labyrinth formed by the alleyways of this gently rolling city. By these excursions, the passengers become acquainted with the secrets of the ship, which are, of course, no secrets to her crew. and soon terra firma appears on the horizon again. We are approaching Balboa, the port of Panama City. Panama City, one of the principal centers of Latin America. There are some striking contrasts in this metropolis that cannot fail to catch the eye. There is a rather primitive way of life of the original inhabitants, side by side with an almost incredible display of luxury. It is a place of international magnitude, and its fame as a tourist center of importance is continually growing. For the greater part, this must be attributed to the Panama Canal. It took 30 years for the waterway to be constructed. A gigantic job indeed, particularly on account of the locks that had to be built in order to carry the ship over the land barrier. A few miles from the Pacific coast, the Willem Ruys is navigated through the double lock of Miraflores and the single lock of Pedro Negro. Work to improve the navigation in the canal has never been neglected. Constant control ensures sufficient width and depth. To eliminate the long deviation around the South American continent, the Panama Canal was constructed at the cost of tremendous sacrifices. Its importance as an international shipping highway has far outgrown its mere economic purpose. It's one of the most beautiful waterways in the world, connecting two oceans through a fascinating landscape of rocks and tropical vegetation. The ship's photographer is busier than ever just now because all the passengers want to have their snaps printed as quickly as possible to send them home. The exceptional beauty of the passage of the canal accounts for the fact that people from the Far East, Australia and New Zealand prefer to sail by this route in order not to miss the unforgettable experience. the triple locks of Gatun at the Caribbean end of the canal lower the vessel some 85 feet before she can proceed onto her course and complete the wonderful passage of the isthmus.
It was still nice and warm on this side, too.
Remarkable, isn't it, to note the Americans losing much of their usual activity. Suppose the end of their holiday is getting near. Even Keller was taking it easy. The English passengers, on the other hand, never missed an opportunity of going in for a swim. The others kept themselves busy most of the time, playing all kinds of games, glad of the nice tan they were developing in the brilliant sun.
The sun is not only extremely convenient for the leisure-loving passengers, it's indispensable for the ship's navigation as well. Taking the ship's bearings by the sun is still one of the classical means of determining the vessel's position.
We arrived at Port Everglades precisely on time. Port Everglades is one of the ports near Miami, so popular with film stars and other celebrities. But lesser celebrities can also swim here freely. And there's no danger of being swallowed by sea monsters. In fact, the only big fishes I've seen were in the sea aquarium, a kind of maritime zoo. Or rather, a sea circus, where I saw the animals eating out of the hand of a diver. Dolphins are giving the most amazing performance. The short trip was planned in such a way as to enable us to do our shopping in one of the large department stores.
I didn't have sufficient money to buy everything, but I certainly certainly saw a lot.
The Willem Ruys herself looked like a fairy ship.
Fairy tales, fairy words, Bermuda. Although the coral islands of Bermuda lie on the northern borderline of the tropical belt, they have a climate that may justly be called ideal. There's always a sea breeze blowing which prevents the atmosphere from becoming too stuffy. The Bermudan beaches are romantically lined with southern palm trees that harmonize well with the northern traditions of the British, whose flag flutters gaily over the islands. A tiny archipelago, Bermuda is rich in history and dotted with picturesque churches and small towns in which a peaceful and very mixed population lives. In one of these, St. George, the tradition-loving British had preserved an old pillory, serving as an historic monument, time now being almost unknown in these coral islands. Old Anglican churches symbolize the spirit of peace and leisure that do not fail to attract retired Americans. To a certain extent, Bermuda is a foretaste of the other end of the Atlantic, Great Britain. And once more, the Willem Ruys has to weigh anchor, and her course is set towards her next destination. Self-assuredly, she crosses one of the world's busiest water highways, carrying her passengers with plenty of time to read, in ease and at leisure. The choice of books in the ship's libraries is enough to satisfy everyone's taste. Some passengers love to make notes of their travel experiences. Their letters will go to make friends and relatives envious. For the keen businessman among the passengers, this is the time to prepare his next move on the business chessboard. Where 8 bridge players get together, there's a drive. This is very true on the Willem Ruys, where it's easy to find even more than 8. And for everybody, whether he is a bridge player or a hard-working businessman, there is the right drink at the right moment. And there is the right kind of music, too. It is certainly not always like music. For that matter, nobody needs to neglect his Bible. At one time, the Bible was the seaman's only book, the Star-Spangled Sky his only chart. Things have changed a great deal for every sailor on the high seas, hundreds of miles from home. He can be certain of the high-pressure area around the Azores. And in addition, he is supplied with first-hand meteorological information. This is a world of figures, even for the businessman who, during his voyage, can keep himself au fait with the prices of shares by radio telephone. The sea is endless, and so is this voyage, on which the farewell party of one may be the welcome party of another. end or the beginning? The beginning or the end? The Needles off Southampton Water. Once again, beginning or end? Next comes the home port, Rotterdam, Holland. The Willem Ruys is allowed a brief rest, for crew and engines have been working ceaselessly for the past 9 weeks. Time for a breather. In a few days, the crew will be on their job again, looking after the passengers, efficiently and expertly. And here they come again, the first of the long line of 1,000, booked for the next voyage to Australia and New Zealand, or around the world. The ship has many bonds with many ports on the face of the earth. Fare thee well, Willem Ruys. Be seeing you again.